welcome to the Nosebleed Seats. I am Chris Lee. We bring you guys a very special presentation of Nosebleed Seats as we cover the top 10 most influential people in Central Illinois. Starting off, Justin Clark. Justin, how you doing today, buddy?
Good to see you. Good to be here.
All right, man. So, lots going on. We're going into the 5th NBS Awards. Can you believe that?
The 5th. I remember getting the call about the first one and how I was surprised because I didn't realize that we were big enough to have awards for everybody, but you guys did, and I put faith in you guys, and going into 5. So
it's been an awesome ride. You know, big number 5 now for the award show. You've been one of our number 1 supporters, and at the same time one of our number 1 critics over the years. You know, something happens or something's wrong, you're always the first one to make the phone call and tell us how you think we can improve, and I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you being a friend. I appreciate you not defriending me on Facebook
for not being at the shows.
Months, but that's cool. You know, I got to get around. I got to see a lot of shows.
I got to figure out the internet thing. So
yeah. So Mr. Social Network.
Yes. You know what? It works. It really does. I mean, it's as much as everybody wants to bash it. If you do it right, it can work.
Yeah. It's a good time. I just recently got on Twitter and absolutely love it.
Yes, absolutely.
It's fantastic. But you've owned New Midwest now for it's 6 years?
It'll be 5 years now. We just celebrated 5 years. Oh wait, 2006. Yeah, 5 years.
So, and by the time this interview airs, you will be the longest running owner of New Midwest Wrestling.
You see, I've always heard that's debatable, but I'll take that credit. I think you know, myself and the other owners, you know, we take pride. I mean, we did it straight through. You know, we've had you know, a very consistent, you know, time frame, an era. You know, everybody talks about New Midwest having eras. We've had a very consistent era. I mean, I think we've done it longer than everybody. I've yet to ask with the historians, but.
Well, a couple things I want to cover about your reign over New Midwest Wrestling. And
make it seem so ominous.
I know, right? I apologize for that. I didn't mean.
No problem.
The error of yourself and the rest of the owners now over New Midwest Wrestling. I want to start with Justin MacIntyre.
Of course.
And the difference between Justin MacIntyre, day 1 of New Midwest Wrestling, and Justin MacIntyre as of today in New Midwest Wrestling.
Well, right now, it's hard to talk about MacIntyre. The thing I had to get over when we first took over was I was still in shows and Justin MacIntyre was still wrestling for New Midwest Wrestling, and I also had to have this face of the guy that was in charge of things, that was running, you know, things behind the scenes, and it was just. I still had to have some kind of dichotomy there. There still had to be some kind of separation because you always get that stigma of the guy running the place gets all the belts,
right?
You know, that kind of thing. Which I'm never one of those people. I do what's best. I want to do what's best for the machine as a whole. I think that now where I'm able to step aside and just be, you know, just put Justin Clark out there, and actually, you know, give the attention, give the wrestlers that are working to be wrestlers attention. It's easier for me to do that. Now, you know, Justin MacIntyre goes other places now, and it's so much easier just to be Justin MacIntyre there and Justin Clark at home. Right. It really is. Justin MacIntyre, I don't have, you know, at Dreamwave I don't have that struggle of having all that responsibility, yet still focusing on the different aspects of what I need to do that night, where I only have one thing.
And we'll get back to that in a second. Let me ask you this, and you know I've been a big critic as far as, you know, promoters putting themselves on the show. I absolutely hate it. And you've stepped away from the ring for the most part, but you still are a very big part of the show.
Yeah.
You know, do you think it would be easier just to remove yourself from the show overall? Because as a business owner, it's easier for me to be able to manage the business and not be so hands-on. And I know getting in front of a crowd, speaking, still a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it is. I still have, like, I'm not doing matches. I've gone out there and I've played more of a hype man. I think more of what I'm doing now is to figure out how to do these things to be able to delegate it to somebody sometime soon. I went out and at our show in Kincaid, this last show in Kincaid, I went out and did a hype thing for our DVDs, and I really got a good handle on that. And it was easier just to lead that into something where it was part of the show. You know, the wrestlers came in and, you know, did their little beatdown, and it was easier to transition to that because I know that side as well. You know what I mean?
So you're saying that there's probably will be a time in the future where there will be no Justin Clark on the New Midwest show either?
Well, yeah. I mean, there was a good chunk of the last year where I wasn't. That I decided to stay back. I mean, a lot of the time, because I have LPC. LPC is my guy to go out there and do all the business decisions. But there's times I don't have him available. I'm always like, most of the time when you see me out there, it's always because I'm the second choice. It's because LPC was not available. He's off doing something else, which I prefer that if it's a family thing, go be with your family.
Right.
But LPC, he loves New Midwest, and when he's there, he's the guy that I put out there instead of me.
So obviously, over the past 5 or 6 years, we've all grown. Tell me about the change in Justin Clark compared to 6 years ago or 5 years ago when you guys started New Midwest.
There are people still learning that I am Justin Clark and not Justin MacIntyre. I always say, when I do interviews with people who aren't in the know, I always say that, back in the day, girls fell in love with Justin MacIntyre until they met Justin Clark and realized he was almost a completely different dude in a lot of senses. A lot of people, they didn't want to see me as boss at first. Even people from outside that never worked for New Midwest, they didn't want to see me as boss. They wanted to see me as, they were actually up in the air. Everybody didn't know what was going on. I didn't. I had to hit the ground running. The rest of the owners did too. We busted our humps to learn everything as we go, and we're still learning. I will be straight up. I'm still learning as I go. It's a slow process, but I think we're really getting this down. I mean, to have lasted 5 years now, I think we're doing a pretty good job of this learning.
This is in this interview process. You've already mentioned the other owners, I think about 3 times or so. Okay,
yeah.
But it's well known to the people that know you and the people around New Midwest. If things are going good, it's the rest of the owners. When things are bad, it's Justin Clark.
Of course.
And that's the stigma. You don't get a lot of respect from a lot of people, and you took over a company with a lot of veterans that have been there for 10 or 11 years.
When I'd only been there for 2.
With the majority of Central Illinois thought you were this big jerk.
Yeah.
How have you been able to overcome that? And how do you overcome that stigma to yourselves? Because you've said that over and over. Everybody thinks you're a jerk. Everybody thinks you're a complete, dare I say, whatever. And then how do you handle the pressure of it? I mean, it's pretty much on your shoulders.
Yeah.
You're the head guy. You're the face of the company. Outside, the people, let's say in Danville, don't even know the names of the other owners at New Midwest. How do you handle that?
It's not something like, somebody asks me who they are, I'll tell them. That's the thing. But it's easier for me because I grew up really fast. I really did. Then I got to, my college age, where I realized my life was my own and I could finally go out and be crazy. And that's where I learned to be my most obnoxious. I became an obnoxious person because I
never noticed.
Yeah. Well, no, I became an obnoxious person because of the way I grew up. I grew up very mature. I've been through so much as a kid that I wasn't able to be a kid. So double-edged sword. I become obnoxious, but that also taught me how to take the heat for that. You know what I mean? I have no problem taking the heat for somebody claiming there's a bad show, because I'm open to criticism. I'm not saying the other owners aren't, but I'd rather them not take the heat for it. I'll take all the heat. That's fine.
What's been your toughest decision thus far at owning New Midwest Wrestling?
I don't overcomplicate decisions much, but there are decisions where I definitely had to take a step back and take a while to sit on, and thus lose out on that decision in a lot of ways and get the worst case scenario out of them. There's a ton. I've lost people because I've had to take a step back, whereas I wanted to think about it before I jumped into things, because I don't want to say I'm a complete, I'm cool as a cucumber all the time. I try to be, but I don't want to jump into things hot-headed.
Has there been any decisions that you've made and after you cooled down a little bit, you were like, probably not the best decision?
Yeah, it's definitely the small things that I blow up. There's things where I'm like, and it's all the stresses of the day. They're usually the show day stuff where we're at an event and, one little thing will go wrong when I have like all these big things going wrong that I'm trying to sort out, and then I'll completely blow that up into another big thing, and I just didn't need to.
What would you do if I told you in my business that I run every day, you are one of the most influential people
that I look to for advice when I'm running my business.
I wouldn't understand why, but
I'll explain to you why. Because I think you have such a simple mind. No offense. I know you've probably been called that quite a few times.
Yeah.
But,
Today.
That baby just got an attitude of her own, doesn't she?
Yeah.
But no, what I mean is, the best advice you ever gave me was to make it simple. And don't make it so complicated. And when I'm making decisions in my business, that's what I try to do. That's what I bring to it. And 99% of the time, that's the first thing that goes in my mind. How can I get this across, and how can I make it as simple as I can for the customers to understand? And it has done wonders for me. Not making it too complicated and being able to present it in the best possible way for a customer to understand.
That's something, it's something you learn. You can't be taught how to make decisions like that, especially in leadership. Nobody's born a leader. There are born leaders, but nobody's born in the leadership role.
Actually, I was going to talk about that too. That was on my agenda, and since you brought it up. How does it feel to be the leader of one of the longest running wrestling companies? I mean, you have to lead that locker room every day, whether they like you or not. Whether you're good buddies with some of these people or not, you have to lead these guys, every month into a show. What's some of your tips for that? Even, like I said, even if they don't like you.
I think whether they like, nobody's short-sighted at New Midwest. Whether they, maybe at the time they might be a little bit, and that's where a lot of the tempers flare when they do. But everybody realizes everybody else's intentions. Everybody puts it out there on the table. The intention is to make New Midwest grow and continue on another 10 years, another 15 years. It's whether they like me or not, I put it out there on the table. I'm out there. I'm open, and this is what I'm doing. People understand that. The guys, they may not like the smaller decisions, but they know the big picture is going to be there. And that's what I want for the company, and that's what I want for these guys. I do everything for them. Like I always say, New Midwest Wrestling is a machine as a whole. Everybody has their places. I mean, if I have to be the lead gear, that's fine, but I'm no bigger gear than anybody else.
I know obviously you came up with NGW, and we'll talk about NGW here in a little while. But managing the characters now, some of the guys you got a perfect mix as far as the veterans go and these young guys. Nobody's taken more advantage of the wrestling school, the NBS training center, than you. Most of the students there that are able to wrestle now are on your show. Mm-hmm. One of them even got you a new venue for you guys to expand into, which is awesome. How do you approach these guys as characters now? And I mean, obviously, most of these guys are Guy Smith's kids.
Yeah.
How do you handle that? I mean, are you and him able to get on the same page as far as their characters and their growth goes?
Of course. I think one thing that Guy Smith does really well is that he teaches the young guys, or the new guys. Not all of them are young, but
right.
he teaches these trainees to be open to listen to everybody. No matter if you train there, no matter where they train, listen to us, get as many opinions as possible. The book is always the book, you know what I mean? The guy with the book always has the final call. But if that guy's open, like I am, I'm very open. You better be ready to do it well if you're going to come up to me with it. And I'm definitely going to try to fine tune it to fit everybody else on the events. You know what I mean? But Guy's been really good about listen to as many people as you can. I mean, there are big schools and there are little schools and there are guys that shouldn't be training that don't teach that.
A lot of these guys from the NBS Training Center have cheap plug, by the way, and really taken under your wing. Derek Moss has main evented a couple shows now. Jordan with Attitude Inc., which is a huge, dare I say, bump in his
a rub.
career.
I mean,
and Tony G is, I think he's been your assistant.
He's my intern producer.
Janitor. He's been just about everything you can. Like, I think you got a dictionary or something. You're just looking up jobs for him.
Of course.
But break down these guys for me. What they bring to your shows and where you think their careers are going to go.
They're all, like, honestly, I've never seen one crop of trainees from any school, whether it been in Peoria when I first started, Peoria later on, New Midwest. From any school, that have been so open to listening to people who've been there. A lot of guys, they come in and they're like, this is what I want to do. I want to be this BAMF, and I want to wear red and black, and this is what I want. These guys are like, what can I do for you? What can we do to make this work? In less words. And they actually do approach me like, what can I do to help? The key as the booker, Justin Clark, as the guy that's booking people, like, visibility is the best thing, and these guys are always there. I'm always talk to Guy Smith about who's been to training and what they're doing and what they're capable of before we give them whatever they're doing. Tony G has what better guys to work with than me and LPC. If you got Tony, who you don't really see talk too terribly much, right. But what better guys to have him underneath? You have Periwinkle, who's with Attitude Inc. What better guys to learn that charisma and that outward motion than with Attitude Inc. And Derek Moss, who's a natural athlete, and you have
Derek's gonna be like the next Bo Jackson too. Yeah. Basketball, pro wrestling.
Yeah.
I don't know if the kid plays. Did he play football? I'm sure he did.
If they had it.
Now he's in baseball.
Yeah.
The kid's all over the place. It's like D knows.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Of course. Well, you have Derek Moss, and Derek Moss is definitely an all-natural athlete, and he's always there. I mean, I talk to him at least once a week, even when we don't have Kincaid shows. He's always there. Like, what can we do? How can I get them word out in my area? That kind of thing. I work with Periwinkle's fiance. She helps me get the word out in their area. I mean, and that's another thing is that their families want to help out too. I mean, that's what it was all about when we were first starting, was getting people to see you. Right. And I'm not saying it's not so much anymore for us older guys, but you have that newness on there, and then as a promoter, you got to take advantage of that, because these guys want to do it.
Speaking of older guys, let's go back to your days at NGW. Okay, from what I understand, NGW reunion show in the works.
Yeah.
Okay. Not too long ago, you made a comment online about the business ain't the same. People need to realize the business isn't the same as when you left.
I got a lot of flack for that, and that's just who I am. It's hard to portray myself in 140 characters or less of what I'm trying. You know what I mean?
I gotcha.
And everybody, there's like, and with my abrasive nature as a person as a whole, a lot of people are quick to jump on to see, this is him just dogging us. Like, if there's going to be a reunion show for the people in Peoria, I want it to work out to the best. And it is a different business from then on. I've been here nonstop since then. Right. You can't just pick it up and go. And there's times where I took a few months off. Like now, I'm so scared to get in the ring, right. Like, because I haven't had a regular match in how long.
The guys that they're putting on the show, obviously GAW's running up there now.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys, old NGW guys, so they're going to be involved in this somehow, some way. That's for sure.
Which I appreciate that they're getting in the ring more and more and more before they do this out in Forest City. Right. I have prior commitments. I really wish it worked out differently, but because I am truly enveloped in wrestling. These smaller shows, I mean, that one-time thing I can't do. I can't afford it as a...
Like NGW went through a lot of different eras.
Yeah.
Okay? I particularly loved the last era. God, the matches, just the people that were coming in was amazing. It was just absolutely amazing. Ali, Harker was up there. Guy Smith had gone up there quite a bit. Just such good shows. And it was like me, Crimey, and Mauve, and like a couple super fans. Yeah. And that was about it. Why do you think NGW didn't make it?
I think it was more like, these guys are great. And I won't say it was lack of promotion for these guys, but I do think that you can't expect every person that's going to buy a ticket to be not only your kind of wrestling fan, but a wrestling fan, period. A lot of people just want to be entertained. They don't care what it is as long as it's entertainment. People will go out to it just because it's different. People go, like, have you ever been to a monster truck show?
When I was a kid.
Yeah. Were you avidly into monster trucks at that time?
No,
Did you read about them on the internet every day?
No, I don't think there was an internet.
Yeah.
It's still real to me, damn it.
But that's the thing, is that you can't expect. A lot of promoters, what they do is they try to sell to just the internet crowd. Like I said, social networking is a good tool, but it's not the only tool.
Did you ever think that we would be at a moment now where there was no NGW?
Never say never. I mean, I say it every year at the awards, is that it changes. Like, you can't predict anything from each year.
I particularly, and I think I can speak for Crime Fighter and Mo both, I'm so excited about where we're at in Central Illinois right now. So many people have matured and grown up. Mo and I skipped an NGW show, or a New Midwest show, not too long ago to go see an NWA show, and it was fantastic. Yeah. I mean, from front to back, I was so proud of Dave and the entire crew there. You could see the maturity. Yeah. Have you seen that in Central Illinois?
Of course. I said it at the last show. I mean, last year was the strongest year we've had, period, bar none. I think this year is already shown to be stronger than the last. New Breed is back rocking and rolling. Dave's doing his NWA Midwest shows, the Supremes. New Midwest took on more shows this year, went out and did something different. I think, you have Dreamwave. Dreamwave is constantly challenging itself. I think that guys are really starting to learn what it is to challenge yourself, which is something that I've wanted to do for a long time, but never knew how. And then I see places like Dreamwave doing what they're doing. I see some steps that Dave's doing with NWA Supreme. And I see, New Breed and what the different avenues they're taking. I take little bits from these. I really do. You can call it stealing, you call it whatever you want to, but as long as it betters this business, and as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else, I'm going to do it. You got to be willing to learn and challenge yourself in this business at any point.
Even with the growth and the maturity over the past year or so, I still get the feeling we still have a long way to go.
Of course.
What do you think gets us to the next level?
Definitely learning more and more about what it's going to take to get people in the building. It's all about the live show. That's like I always say that I'm never going to talk like I'm smarter than the WWE. Right. I'm never going to talk like, oh, that was dumb. WWE is stupid for making that decision. You're never going to hear that out of my mouth. But I think wrestling works best when it's focused on the live crowd and not just the TV crowd. When the crowd has all their sing-along promos, when they have, when they see the big move coming, that kind of thing. When the live crowd's having fun, the people at home are having fun.
Do you feel like we're kind of repairing the scene at this point?
No, I think
because, like I said, I mean, there was a period in there, man. I know, especially in the Decatur market, not very pretty, and a lot of these areas, there was a long time there for a couple of years. New Midwest, not the best it could have been. It was getting pretty ugly there for a while. Do you feel like we're kind of in repair mode? Or do you think we're beyond that and now we're just?
Yeah, I don't think it's repairing at all. I think we're going through a trial and error. Please, we're still a young scene. Even like Chicago and St. Louis. I mean, their eras are cut off each 10 years or so. Right. But that's the wrestling business. Wrestling's not the same it was 10 years ago. It wasn't the same 10 years before that. Before that, they weren't called independents. You know what I mean? And they weren't set up the same way when you had territories.
I got you on in the series the most influential because you've made such an impact no matter where you go. Okay, what you did with New Breed not too long ago and the HWC title, where you helped Guy Smith capture the HWC title. You made such a huge splash throughout the whole area because everybody's like, wait, Justin's on a New Breed show? What the hell's that all about? And then not too long ago, you made your debut for Dreamwave, and got a fantastic promo for them. I really enjoyed the first video you put out. I'm sure there's lots and lots of
I'll tell you what, it's good to be able to, like I said, it's good to be able to hold what I'm doing that night in my hands instead of on my shoulders. With the New Breed thing, it was fun. It was that one night thing. It gave me that little taste of...
How fun was it to sit next to Mauve that entire night and then swerve him at the end?
I'll tell you what, he was in my ear screaming pretty hard when it actually came down to it. It scared me. Right. Because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't expect too many people to know who I was.
Let me ask you, I've been meaning to ask you this for a long time, and I never have. Do you do stuff online to kind of just get us going? Because it always seems like you'll you'll do something, and then like I'll go back on your Facebook page, and I'm like, he knew I was gonna get that.
Right.
You know, or you like leading up to the he kept talking about HWC over and over for like no reason at all.
Well,
and then like all of a sudden you're on the show, and I'm like, what the hell is this?
Well, honestly, I think that like I don't think my opinion has changed. Like that's the thing is like everybody thought I hated the idea of the HWC.
Right.
It was not for me, and I've always been that way. Oh, it's not for me.
Do you think we're ever going to see HWC in Springfield? Do you think that you guys can ever, put that together? Because I mean, it's a nice looking belt. Like you said, New Breed's rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
They've got a great, machine behind them now. They're doing good things. Do you think that you can ever make that business deal and reach out to them?
I don't want to. I don't predict the future, ever. I know what I'm willing to work for now, and they really are. I mean, that belt gets to the Guy Smith defends that belt whenever he has a chance, and I think that never say never. It's not for me now. Again, how 3-4 years later, but I don't think it's an impossibility. I think maybe a one night only thing, but I can't base my company around another belt. I just can't do that.
Let me ask you this. Everybody makes a big deal. I know we got in a big hoopla about it quite a while ago on the internet. Sports entertainment, professional wrestling, business. What is it to you? Kind of break them all down for me.
It's the same thing. I mean, it really is. I mean, no matter what you call it, no matter what kind of dress you put on it, what kind of bow you put in its hair, people are going to still refer to it as wrestling to shorten it up. Sports entertainment is just what kind it is. You know what I mean?
Do you think the word sports entertainment is more of like kayfabe at this point? Because to my nephew, who you've met several times, it's professional wrestling to him.
Yeah.
Okay. My son asked me the other day if I was ever going to take him to a WWE event to watch wrestling.
Yeah.
To them, it's still wrestling.
Yeah, it's always.
To you and I, it's sports entertainment. To me, it's entertainment.
I still call it wrestling because it's short. It's short term to say it.
Right.
Because like I said, of course. But like I said, it's
140 characters or less.
Like no matter what you dress it up as, it's still wrestling. The people are still going to call it wrestling. It's still going to get handed down as that. But when you're selling it, it can be sports entertainment for the people that need to buy it. They have halls that don't have anything to do with wrestling. They're big stadiums that call for sports and entertainment. It's the same thing. It's just whatever you want to call it. Over in Germany they call it catch. Still wrestling.
When and careful with your answer because you get quite a backlash. When you're putting shows together, okay, are you thinking about wrestling? Or are you thinking about entertainment? What's kind of going through your mind?
Column A, column B. I mean, a little bit of both. The bottom line is that, I get guys that always want to sit, can I talk on the mic? Can I talk on the mic? Can I talk on the mic before I match? Guys that focus too long.
Do you have that same conversation with yourself before the show?
No, I just take the mic.
Anyways, column A, column B.
Column B. There's a balance you got to find because the name on the marquee is wrestling. Your entrance, guys that focus too much in like what music you're coming out to. That's only 40 seconds of your 15 minutes out there. It's still got to be wrestling out there. It's still got to be what people paid to see. And everybody's got a different style. Everybody's, you got your technical wrestlers, you got your flyers, you got to mix it up right. But I think it's you can't bake a cake with just eggs. You know what I mean?
That's all we got time for this week on NBS TV. We'll be right back next week with more Justin Clark.